Welcome back to another episode of the Coast to Coast Traded podcast. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Joe. What's up, man?
I'm admiring your shirt there, my dude. Nice Schwarzenegger, a little
Oh
T2 action.
yeah, dude!
Fun.
Look at this, bro. I think it's just original T1.
Nice. Dude, Terminator 2 was, or Terminator 2 was the second movie I ever saw in theaters.
Damn, that's crazy, bro. Like
Yeah.
Terminator 2 is an epic movie. Like it still holds up on the visual graphics. Like when the villain guy like turns into the
Oh, yeah.
melted
With the bars.
steel, and he goes like just through it. Or there's the one I think he goes through a chain link fence at one point too. It's like this is crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. What made you decide to get that one? Did you just feel
Oh,
like a little nostalgic for something, or how did that come up?
oh no! Honestly, there's an Old Navy near the gym, and the wife was like, after we work out today, can we swing into Old Navy? Like I've been meaning to swing in there, and I'm just like, oh sure, like what am I gonna get suckered into buying? So like naturally, I'm not just gonna like walk through the store with her and be like, oh look at this skirt, or look at this whatever. I was like, let me just go
Right.
see if they have any cool T-shirts in the men's section, and I was over there for like, looking at all like the different ones. They have like crazy stuff, like a ton of California stuff, like Avengers, blah blah blah, whatever. And then out of the corner of my eye, I seen this shirt, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta get that. That's too sick."
Nice,
So,
dude. I'm kind of surprised to see that at Old Navy because, like, it's been a while since I've been to one, but I kind of compare them to Gap since they're owned by the same company. But, like, usually I just see, like, their brand apparel, but I don't know if I see, like, graphic tees necessarily.
oh, they have a ton, dude. They had all kinds of brands, like, I think they had a shirt for the Goonies. They had bunch of like random like fake golf tees, like the things that would just say like funny stuff on it or like be a funny name. It's like not like a real place or
Yeah.
a real golf thing. And then they had a few other movie shirts, like I think they had Dragon Ball Z. So random
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't usually ever go in there, dude, but I was just like, oh shoot, I see that, I'll get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You
So
ready to get pumped up? Dude, I can almost never think about Arnold without, get to the choppa or whatever
mm-hmm.
the other
Oh
sayings
yeah.
are. But
Yeah, I'll be back. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So you were recording almost a little solo episode because I decided to take a little nappy nap today for
Yeah.
Grandma's lunch,
Yeah.
birthday lunch.
Hell yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny, man, because like I appreciate Robbie's like super flexible because like I work Sundays and sometimes I'm like, bro, I'm running late, or I'll ask him like sometimes it's the last minute and we'll just adjust the time a little bit. So I messaged Robbie, everybody, and it was like a few minutes had gone by. I was like, damn, I don't know, like maybe he was sleeping, maybe he's just whatever, which it turns out he was sleeping, right? And then I'm like, well, I'll just start recording something by myself. And if he calls me, I'll just be like, hey, look who joined the party and bring him in. And then, like, it just didn't play out that way. But yeah, I just started. Obviously, I talked about the cool shirt. That was like, a good 10 minutes. Not really. But
Yeah.
um, talked about that.
Yeah, filler conversation.
Yeah. And then I just talked about like where the market's at, man. I was just talking about how like just that little like China tariff news deal, and how we pushed up and we just seem to be losing a little bit of momentum on the way up there. We should probably check the volume and see. Yeah, volume kind of declining as well.
Yeah, I was just wondering when, if we're gonna get that pullback and do like a retest over the pivot that you're kind of hovering over
Right
right
here.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, with here
It's
or
not
even like coming
guaranteed
back
to
to here.
happen. I mean, it really could just keep going higher before they do any type of pullback, but it just kind of feels like it's naturally wanting to happen because the last couple of days have been pretty choppy and haven't had a huge range on the day. So,
Yeah, and I'm not the best with the technical terms, man. Like sometimes I mess up, like ascending triangle and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure people refer to this as a breakaway rally, and which is
hmm
like the most, or according to what I was reading, one of the most difficult things to trade because it's already extended. So you're hesitant to get in, and then
oh, for sure.
you're kind of very quick to get out, and then it keeps going. And so it's like, if we were to just say, you do something like, well, I'll get in like here, and we're already so far extended, you get out here, And then by the end of the next day, it's up here, and you're like the piece I
You
missed.
retake it because
Yeah,
if this is like a day trade, it's like a very FOMO-y breakout situation. It's like, oh shoot, it's gonna keep running, man.
yeah,
And then maybe you chase, and then as soon as you do,
yeah.
send it right back down.
Right. And like that's probably exactly what happened here with the weaker hands, right? Because like if you caught a little bit and then you see, oh, well, I only caught maybe like 30 points, but now it's rallied another 60. So you're like, oh, well, do I get in? And then you get in and it chops for a day or whatever. It doesn't really do much. And then the next day you realize, oh shit, it looks like it's rolling over, right? You have, kind of a weaker looking bull candle there, the doji, and then this candle starts to be like, a little upper wick and then rolling down. It looks like, oh shit, this is the top. We're reversing. So then you jump out of your long only to be wrong and have it go even higher 2 days later. Like it gets to be hard because it's so high up, it's so extended. Everyone's just thinking it's gonna roll over. It's gonna roll over. It's got to pull back.
Yeah,
And
and in this current session, we gapped down pretty hard, almost under Friday's low a day.
right.
I mean, we've reclaimed quite a bit, but
Hmm.
I don't know if that's quite the look we wanted to see if we were still expecting it to keep pushing higher. Do you think?
No, I mean it. It's. I think it's a good thing that we on both. I'm pretty sure on both ES and NQ we did actually kind of crack under and sweep under Friday's low. So I think
Yeah,
that's probably a good thing for like how the market seems to be moving lately, where it's like, okay, well, we broke the low, we reclaim it, now we just go back up and break the highs again. Like it's just like low breaking up, like kind of like the Nike swoosh symbol, right? um
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think like it's in a spot where I feel like it's still going to go down, and that the Moody's rating update on Friday didn't help
right.
things, right?
Yeah, sure.
Just
But like, what was it last week or the week before that we were, or maybe more me mentioning that like having a little bit of FOMO that maybe the bottom really was in, sort of thing.
hmm.
And then here we are, it's still higher yet again from there.
I know
So
that was one thing I did mention earlier too. Is that like right around this area where Trump was like, now is a good time to buy, it still remains, the most undefeated buy suggestion of all time here.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, dude. It's like who would have ever thought that they'd be getting a buy signal from the president, like
Hmm.
ever.
Yeah, for real. And it was on it was on 4-9. So if we just, because I know roughly that was early in the morning near that low of day.
Hmm.
So boy, what was that? That was, let's that was, I mean, it was low in the day. So I mean, we're going to talk about it. It was sub 5,000. So,
Yeah,
you know, going back to the daily chart, the market has almost gone up 20% in six
yeah.
weeks. Like
Gee whiz.
wild.
And often we talk about elevator down, right? But like comparatively, this is almost the same thing,
Yeah.
but up.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So and this is what makes those breakaway rallies again really hard, right? Because everybody else is looking at that and they're like, "Oh my god, this is unsustainable. This isn't possible. It's got to roll over. It's got to do this. It's got to do that." But the most
Yeah,
important thing for everybody to remember, dude, and I know what I'm about to say, is that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So look how
absolutely.
look how many people blew up, man, trying to time tops and bottoms.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Um, you want to talk about some real estate real quick?
Yeah, yeah. Dude? It's got to be expensive as hell by you.
It is, and I saw this post on X about I think it was Zillow or Realtor
Hmm.
that says you need about $230,000. Well, it depends on the nation or the state, but specifically in Hawaii, $230,000 a year just to afford a house, and that's assuming that it's like roughly a three-bedroom house, and you're living within like 20 to 30% of your income towards real
Yeah,
estate,
but
and then the
yeah,
rest is for whatever.
30%. Like, what's this? It's like a ratio. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, 30% housing to income ratio. And I just remember back when I bought my house, that was not the case. Because even though I got lucky to buy in 2008, for me, dude, I was like 50% for mortgage, tax, and
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah.
And then on top of my other bills, food, utilities,
And it's gross.
vehicle.
And that's the thing too, is it's gross income, right? So like
Yeah,
now
for
half
sure.
of your gross is gone, and out of the remaining half of the gross, 100% of the taxes and FICA are coming out. So then you're really left with a small chunk. You're probably like house poor.
Dude, for sure. Like the day I moved in, um, I'd spent all my money. Like the biggest check I ever wrote in my life was for my down payment,
Uh huh.
that 20%, and then I was eating legit. He was eating ramen noodles and like Arizona tea from the dollar store. I even bought some of my painting supplies from the dollar store.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, I mean, I've been used to living a very lean life because I've gone without for very long periods of time, many times.
Yeah.
And this isn't to turn it into like any weird sob story or anything like that, but like I just know what I can get by on, and I don't need a lot. So even though it was 50% of my income for my house, like I was getting by okay, and I didn't really feel like that out, because the ramen days didn't last forever. That was just the initial because like I just emptied my bank account making a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just looking
Yeah.
at this listing, do you have the Expos? Do you mind sharing it really quick? Because I think it'd be important to share that.
No, I don't mind at all. And you know what? You said something as well there that I would really like to go back to um, uh, when we're done with this like real estate combo. So yeah, this is the map you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and look at me in the red state of California there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
I dude,
it's tough, man.
I can't believe though it would be more expensive for you to move close to me in Mass. Like,
That's surprising, huh?
yeah. And I don't know. Like, I wonder if there's like I can't imagine there's more because I know Cape Cod is like super expensive, but like I can't imagine that there's so many more millionaire mansions in that area versus like the California coast. I mean, look at the surface
Right.
area, right? Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And also California has a much higher population, so that's
Bless you.
that's interesting. Bless you, Ashley.
Joe says bless you. But
um,
Joe, also then go ahead and pop up this for a second. This is a rent in my area. And the reason I wanted to kind of bring this up is because I came across a YouTube video um like a couple weeks ago,
mm,
and the guy was mentioning something about what a lot of people get wrong about buying real estate.
mm,
And I think there's something that I agree with him with, and the main thing is that a lot of people just automatically assume that real estate is one of the best investments you can make.
mm,
And his argument was that people can get that wrong because depending on where you live, it can be very much cheaper to rent than it is to own.
mm,
Um, but what I didn't quite agree with, even though I think it's correct, is that if you had just rented and then invested in the stock market consistently every month, you would have been much, much better off.
mm,
Um, at least as far as your net worth goes than having owned real estate. Because just for instance, my property's gone up quite a bit, but if I had just put in $500 a month in 2008, just today, I'd be in for less than $100,000, and then my S&P value would be like 300 plus K.
yeah.
And
So
that's not even that's just 500 a month. That's no down payment to get the ball rolling. That's no like consistent increase in the monthly deposit. But what I was thinking about that is like that sounds great and all, but what I at least in my small circle of people that I know, um, I feel like if you're in the market of actually renting, I think investing in the stock market is like the last thing on anybody's mind outside of perhaps your 401k that's provided through your work. Like I literally don't know anybody that's ever put anything in the market outside of their 401k, aside from like traders. Like in my family, it's only been through work, never like by themselves. So it's like, yeah, you're renting, but like, dude, I don't have $500 to put a month in just the stock market for that
And
potential. Because like,
he
who believes that, right? Like we all hear the market's like 10% on average,
yeah.
but it's hard, I think, for a lot of people to just like, okay, compounding interest is going to work because it does. I mean, it, the charts don't lie,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like, okay, with rental though, it's like you have to live somewhere.
right. Yeah, you
So
do.
for me, I always felt like I would rather be building wealth for myself than for somebody else. And so that's why I saved my ass off to be able to afford a down payment and buy a house. And then, even though it might not have been the best investment or whatever, it's like at least this is mine. I'm paying it off. I'm never going to owe anybody else, rent. And like when it's all paid off, it'll be just as refreshing as like when you pay off a car and you don't have that loan anymore. And then you can do whatever you want. Like you'll be very, very free feeling, in my opinion.
Having your house paid off for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I refinanced in like 21, I think, the fall of 21. So like I got like pretty
Hmm.
close to that peak of like low rate, 2.6. So like,
Yeah.
and I don't owe a lot. Like I think like 150-ish range, right?
Yeah.
So like with like 60, and I went to a 20-year loan, not a 30. So like
Hmm.
so I shaved off more years when I refinanced. It like I think I was at 24 at the time, so I dropped to 20. So
Yeah.
I shaved 4 years off. I mean, it was great for like everything about it was great. But like at that low interest rate, I'm not like in any hurry to pay things off. But then again, like I was thinking about what you said. Like I'm a trader, so like I'm thinking about, well, I want to put money. I want to get it into a Roth, right? I want to put it in the IRA and roll it over in there, back
Yeah.
door, right? I want to put my money here. I want to make sure that everything else is paid or paid off, right? Like that's what I'm thinking about. But
Hmm.
like I can understand that like for the vast majority of people, like they need to look at their situation and just say like, yeah, if I can make double payments, I can pay a few extra payments every year and start paying this house off. You don't realize how much you save, especially if you're buying a house
Yeah.
now at those like 6.5 to 7.5 rates. Like you need to look at that amortization table. You are going to pay a ton in interest. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Well, look at
crazy.
this disgusting rental rates, right?
Yeah, they're crazy
$3,000,
too.
2 bedroom, 1 bath,
Dude, I need some of these places are small.
2950 for 1 bedroom. Like these are just the second one there for the 960 square feet. That's like pretty far out of town. But like, dude, these are all basically starting at $3,000, and it's like
Crazy.
people are like kind of shitting on Gen Z for not being able to afford a house, but like, dude, it's real that people can't afford to live. And it sucks, man, because like you were talking about the interest rate, and actually, I know my interest rate when I first bought was like 5 and 3/4,
Yeah.
and then I refied a 15-year for 3.15 or whatever it was, and I've got 5 years left. But if I had to do it over again starting from today, dude, I'd be completely priced out.
I feel that same.
It's
I feel like trading aside, I feel like the same way in where I'm at too. Like I'm just thinking about like from like a regular job perspective, income wise, right?
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Because like let's just assume that any of you guys as viewers either don't trade or are earlier in your trading journey and you're not making more than the figures that we just showed here, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same way in my area. Like, we were talking about one place, and this is like what I said earlier was nothing against mobile homes, but there's a brand new house that they're building, which is within like a quarter mile of like a major highway. So you got like people are going to be humming, including like 18 wheelers, past your house at
Hmm.
60 miles an hour. Um,
Yeah.
and then so and then you have a 360-degree view everywhere you look. There's a mobile home, right? And you have this house that has like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, like 1600 square feet, unfinished basement, and no garage, doesn't even have a paved driveway, and they're asking like 425,000. Like in Maine, that's crazy because it's like everything is just so open here, and there's not a lot of high paying jobs here, nothing like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and the common wisdom is that you never wanna buy the nicest place in the neighborhood, you always wanna buy the dumpiest place.
right, right, right,
So, like, just going back to what you're saying, like, everything's mobile homes, I'm sure there's nice ones, dude. Because bro, I've looked at manufactured houses, like, they're sweet there's a lot of really sweet ones,
yeah, yep,
but, like, if you're just looking at the traditional, like, aluminum double wide, you know, rectangle, like, type of block situation, then it's like, yeah, that's not the best curb appeal, and then you have, like, this really nice custom looking home, feels very out of place.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at if we just put the 425,000, and you got, I mean, you got that was one thing too. Like my wife and I talked about is who's got $80,000 plus to make a 20% like down payment. Like who's just rolling like these days? Because the statistic is,
Yeah.
isn't there some like crazy statistic that like 90% of millennials have less than $5,000 in their bank account as like an emergency fund? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like,
Yeah, I don't know what the exact figure is, but I've heard the same thing, and
yeah,
it's probably actually a lot less than that for most people.
yeah.
Because, like,
Anybody can
not
feel
many
free to
people have the
comment.
emergency fund.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, post down below.
Yeah.
Let me know if you know anybody.
Let us know what we should have known for these facts, right? For this conversation. But like, no, so people don't have that. If they don't have 5K, like or 10K, what makes like who's gonna have 85K, right? That's wild. And then
Right.
if you look at this, like it's about the same. So it's about that 3K mark, like those places to rent. Well, I don't know what those houses would cost though out by you. Any idea?
In my particular area, they're starting at around 800. But got a big shout out to my sister, man, because like I wouldn't have known to afford my down payment without her.
Yeah.
I was looking for a place to rent, and my other sister, she was like, "Why don't you just move in with Linda?" And she was in vacation in on a cruise at the time with her husband, and so she comes back from the cruise, and I'm already moved in to the living room. And she let me stay there for a year rent free, and I squirreled away every freaking penny, plus what I had in savings from before that. And
Yeah.
she went with me on almost every single house that I looked at. And I remember at one point how we were talking at her house over dinner, and I was like naming off every single property that we went to, and we named over 100 different places
Yeah.
that we saw, because this was, during the market 2008 crash, and everything in my neighborhood was foreclosed on or like a short sale.
Wow.
And I put in um, four different offers that all got completely, well, two of them got completely ignored. Third one, they accepted 6 months later, which is where I'm living now.
Wow.
But I lost by lending. So then I made a new offer for like 40 grand less, and
Mm.
they accepted it. So that
Wow.
was a nice little bonus, right?
Lucky you.
Um, yeah, lucky me.
Yeah.
But dude, it was so crazy because there was so many properties out there. Like, believe me, dude, if I had the money, I would have bought another one, because I wasn't ignorant to like the opportunity that I found myself in, being that this was a huge market crash. Like, I knew this was an opportunity.
Mhm.
But my sister kicks herself for not buying the house, a couple blocks from me. But
Awesome, man.
yeah, man, it's just it's difficult to like to consider like buying now.
Yeah.
And I really really do feel for people that are struggling to even like have hope that they'll ever afford anything, let alone perhaps even count on social security and that kind of stuff later down the line.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. Like I feel like it's tough. Like it's funny because my wife and I, we when we drive like anywhere together, we're always like look at stuff like stuff that's for sale on the side of the road, properties for sale, whatever. It's
Hmm.
just like we always just like point things out. Even people like who are fixing up their place, we're like, oh, because we just drive a lot of the same routes, like creatures of habit, like I'm sure all of you are, and like,
Hmm.
but we talked about this like look at these houses, look at these down payments that are needed. And, even if you get like an FHA loan, which I think is only like 3%, right? Like Is
Yeah.
it is like that's still a $12,000 down payment. So like who's just got 10K, right? And I know that people
Right.
end up having to get gifts or whatever, but like even if you put down 20% on this, you're going to end up spending almost like an additional 50%, so it'd be 150% of the purchase price ish
Yeah.
on just interest. So like look at the total price by the time you're done if you don't pay it off sooner. But anyways, we're always, like I said, we were just like we'll drive and we'll talk about it. And then one time I had my daughters in the truck too, and I was like, I feel genuinely bad for you guys. Like like you're gonna need help, right? And like
Yeah.
it's like gonna struggle. And like I don't care how about helping my girls, but like I feel like millennials and maybe like what's Gen Xers like slightly before me, like because a lot of Gen Xers, I think that's kind of the thing is like their kids are what like the young ones that are just like kind of getting into like not moving out. I could be messing up the
Yeah.
generations a little bit, but like you know that's the generations that's gonna have to like help the following generation more. Where
Right.
at least in America, where like that's kind of weird. Older societies, it's like the young people work, and then they always support the retired generation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like totally backwards now.
hmm Yeah, I just feel bad. Like my girls are gonna have a hard time. At
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're gonna have to do it with like people that can afford a house by themselves. It's almost like not possible today. So
yeah.
you almost have to consider doing with somebody else, based at least based on what this X post and the realtor.com data shows. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, needing over 100,000 just to buy a house, and sometimes 200,000 in some of these states is like it's a lot, man.
It,
And everything is like, you know, obviously the inflation on everything else is just as bad too. So it's like, yeah, I can't even imagine anybody actually buying a house with only 30% of their interest, or not their interest, of
yeah.
their 30% of their income.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna be. I mean, like the loan estimate was this was 3K, right? Assuming
right.
all three, right? Principal, interest, then the property taxes, and then the homeowners insurance. So that's a lot. Like that's a lot of money. That's a
Yeah,
hefty income that's definitely needed, and that's tight for sure. I, it's hard. I mean,
yeah.
it's gonna. I don't know. I just can't
Almost
think of
at a
anything else
loss
to
for
say.
words, huh?
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
But dude, there's a I saw someone at X with a huge loss,
Oh, wait.
and
Before we go on to that, dude, I wanted to ask you something about this before I
oh,
forget.
okay,
Okay.
all right,
So when you were talking about buying your house, right? You were talking about like living frugally and like out of habit. It's like you're accustomed to not having a lot. Like, okay.
yeah, right,
Okay. So kind of a deep question here. Do you think that that impacts your trading psychology at all? Like, I never had a lot. I don't need a lot. Therefore, maybe I don't like try to make a lot or like don't think I deserve to make a lot. Do does it affect you think it affects you in any way like that?
yeah. Maybe I don't subconsciously, probably it does. I don't think I necessarily dwell on that,
Yeah.
but for sure, like having gone through droughts in my life makes me appreciate that I'm in a position where I am, where own my house. I own a business, and I have the luxury of being able to trade at my leisure, kind of like before and while working.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, some of that probably impacted me heavily. I
Okay.
know you when I told you like kind of my story a while ago about when I was on my last legs, and then I switched to paper for a while.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll do an episode on this later, but just to give the listeners slash viewers a little insight, like I had only a few grand left in my account, and I was telling Joe like, this is it. If I lose this money, I'm out of the game. I'm probably never going to trade again, and I'm sure as heck not putting anything back in the market because I just don't have it right now. And then I switched to simming for a while, and then I got back in options after took a long break of simming with pretty decent results. I had my first green month ever on options,
Yeah,
and
not
then
bad.
we switched over to prop and stuff. So like, yeah, I think that helped because like I'm just thinking if this is my last $200 or whatever it is, like you bet your ass I'm gonna be fighting for my life to hold on to it and get every last nickel and penny of value as I can
Yep.
to try to make it.
Yeah. So yeah, so in a way too, like there's some positives that it's like impacted you, right? Like you're more conservative, like you're more a little bit more risk adverse, right? You're protective of your
Yep.
capital, which some traders are reckless or kind of if you have a good income, you might just think of it loosely as like, well, I can next month I can put in another 2K, it's not a problem, like or whatever the
Yeah.
number is, 'cause, I mean, shoot, some people are out there losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on in the market, so. Uh, but it helps with that, and then also, um, I was gonna say that some traders have like more fear, but
Hmm.
but you kind of can approach it like from a different angle. You don't have that same fear that they would have, so
Yeah.
some strengths to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a good segue though to the next topic here, but because
Yeah.
well, I don't know if you saw this around the same time as I did or not. I know we both know of it, but there's a guy in X,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes by Rip Sells, and he had a pretty or selling Rip, sorry, but he had a pretty nasty trading day on
Yeah.
what was it?
The
Let's see,
seventh.
I'm pulling it up here. Yeah, the 7th,
Yeah.
and he blew basically 30 accounts, I think, and
Yeah.
about 137. Oh, I thought it was 170. My bad, but it was $137,000 loss on the day, biggest of his career. And I hadn't heard of him until I saw this post, and he made an interest a little comment. It's like, I gathered the last of my money for my change jar this morning, and I'm going to be purchasing a Greyhound bus ticket to a quiet place where the markets cannot rob me of my life savings.
Mm-hmm.
So this was hyperbole, obviously. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it. It's like I'm gonna deactivate my X account. I'm going dark for a few months, and then like uh, I saw like on the 12th he had a pretty awful day, $70,000 loss on Monday, and then on Thursday the 16th, basically $37,000 loss day. So obviously that was hyperbole, but like he didn't let that loss scare him. So like one per like somebody losing $10 could be the same sting as like somebody losing 100. Like, and in the trading world, one person's 100K loss could be the same as like somebody's $1,000 day loss. But it's also a little bit less than that because this is prop, right? So really, he only lost those accounts that he paid for the activation and stuff
Mm-hmm.
versus actually losing the 137K. But I mean, it's still they were funded accounts, so I don't know what his run up was prior to that, but you and I have both had copy trading days where we've not performed the best, and then we get back on that horse, right?
Yep.
Yep. And you know, not that this guy needs my advice or anything, but anybody listening, I would just say like this is one of those situations where you got to be like, okay, maybe you were used to trading, copy trading all those accounts, and you were doing quite well for a while, but something just happened and something just slipped in your brain, and you just had a pretty big blow up. So it's time to size down. So rather than copy trading, the 20, 30 accounts or whatever, let's maybe only copy trade like a quarter. Or, for the people that are listening that maybe only copy trade one account, maybe just don't copy trade. And then
Size down to half.
just yeah, size down to half and just like have like a daily loss limit or an account limit. Like, okay, I have this many accounts, but if I max red on like maybe two, then I'm out for the day. And then I'm not gonna like spiral tilt, even though maybe there might be another setup. I feel like for me anyway, having those types of rules helps me because it really makes me well, this is what I tell myself because
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle sometimes, but like it helps me to not reward taking the poor setups earlier in the day, and then like, oh, I have another account, so it's okay that I blow these or whatever the situation may be. Like, it just makes you really try to think that, is this a setup worth taking if I only have one more trade to take or one more account to trade or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, if you were, trying to say something there with the account limit, there's,
No, not particular, because like
no?
I've just it's been on my mind, just stuff that I go through, of course.
Yeah.
And because like we've talked about before, like me adjusting to the volatility,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't I had that ego set where like I still want to trade the minis, man. And then, well, nope, I'm getting my butt smacked. So really got to trade those micros, and figure out what my new normal is until things settle again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we gotta adapt in whichever way we can.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in Tropic Thunder, adapt and survive.
I don't remember that quote. It's been a while, but I that movie is hilarious.
Oh, I was pretty sure that was RDJ. Yeah, that movie's great. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just like kind of laughing about the accounts thing, whatever. One of us has been on an epic tilt day and blown 100 eval accounts in a single day. And that one of us isn't Robbie. So I've definitely been there and had my fair share of tilt, like especially lately, man. Like, I mean, I think there was one day that there was like 4 different trades that were like, you know, up into profit, halfway to PT, you know,
Hmm.
move my stop to break even, get stopped, like,
Yeah.
or one or two that were like, I literally like within 3 ticks hit the bottom, get stopped, and it rockets the other way, and it's like, oh, all right, like
Yeah.
that's the type of mode we're on right now. Like, thank you, giving me the business.
Yeah. And that kind of like makes me go back to like the victim mentality that we used to have early on as traders, where it's like, of course, it always goes after I get stopped out.
Yeah.
And these are the kinds of thoughts that we have after like a recent like losing streak or big blow up, because you kind of start to doubt yourself, and then almost sometimes change the way you trade
Hmm.
because you're more scared, so then you want to take profit quicker, but then you're not letting it breathe enough like you used to. And for me, that I've experienced quite a bit of that this past couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Feel like I've had.
So we hope you guys are all like doing well, but if you all can relate, let us know in the comments below, because we're all in this together, aren't we? Trying to be.
Trying to be, man. There's plenty out there for everybody, so I don't see why not.
I don't want to leave a man or woman behind if we can help them out along the way, and they can learn a little bit something from little Joe and Rob.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because the market's huge. There's so many different ways to do it too. So it's, even if it's like, they want to do something different that they picked up from us or whatever, or just something we don't always employ. Like, I've talked to some traders, man. It's like crazy. They literally just do like, I just do this one thing. Like, it's like
Hmm.
the simplest thing, but like, it doesn't happen all that often. And that's the one thing they do. Win or lose, they just rinse and repeat the same exact thing, you know?
Yeah.
And some of us use 3, 4, 5 different things like EMAs, above VWAP, orbs, etc. You know,
Hmm.
hey, plenty out
Yeah.
there.
Mad respect to the guys that really just wait for their what they consider to be their A+ setup,
Hmm.
especially if it's not one that occurs every day, or whatever the situation may be. Because a lot of us are chomping at the bit, especially at the open, like I used to do.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Some of my worst trades lately too is like way away from, just way too extended. I think
Hmm.
every trade I've had lately, like, worst trade ever. It's just been terrible. That's terrible.
It's terrible, terrible.
Yeah. Yep. But
Yeah,
so, well, shout out to this dude, back to Rips, man. Big losses, but he's had some big days.
yeah, for sure.
And looks like he's a pretty solid trader. So,
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, like just looking at the size of the loss, like I didn't think that this guy was really going anywhere. other than like taking a quick break from Twitter. I assumed he would still trade or whatever,
Hmm.
but I didn't know him at all to know whether or not that was hyperbole or not. And clearly it was. But I don't know if he's got a room or not. Do you know if he's doing like a room or just streaming on YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, it's Market Clubhouse or something.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Good for him.
Yeah, exclusive members only trading community. It's based off of Twitter, so you,
Oh, gotcha. Like subscribe.
yeah, yep.
Gotcha.
Hmm. Hey, good for him.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everybody.
Well, you want to call this one a rap ski?
That's right. It's a wrap. Arnold, and Robbie, we're out.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I'll be back.